I think we're going to be schooled today, Anthony.
We're going to be educated. I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of No Vacancy Live. That's Anthony Melchiori. I'm Glenn Hausman, and you are your fabulous self. How are you guys doing today?
They're fabulous. They're all fabulous. They wrote me this morning, and they're all fabulous.
I love it. That would be that's great. All right, so we're gonna get right into it. We're a little short on time today, and we've got a big size guest. Of course, I'm talking about Mr. Peter Ricci, Director of Hospitality Affairs and Management at Florida Atlantic University. It's great to see you, Peter.
Hello. I'm feeling fabulous too, and
awesome.
I am a big size guest in many more ways than one. So you're right on the money.
Are you concerned about being able to fit on the new Tron ride? There seems to be a lot of conversation about that.
If I hear about Tron one more time, everybody this weekend, when are you going? When are you going? When are you going? So
I don't know anything about it, so tell me about it.
It's the new ride at the Magic Kingdom at Disney World.
And
yes,
why?
Indeed.
And you're only small people allowed on, or what?
It's just that you ride a bike kind of scenario, and the way it's configured is that people of the ride was first in China, so I think that people that aren't the typical size of the average Chinese citizen don't necessarily fit well in these seats. Like if you're too tall, if you're a runner and your thighs are too big, apparently all sorts of
Shouldn't they have figured that out before they opened it?
Well, they put a couple of regular seats in the back, so you can sit in those too. But yes, they probably should have figured out that. But you know what else, guys? The reason why I wanted to bring in Peter right away is because you know what else was figured out? Top hotels around the world. We got two great lists from U.S. News and World Report. And of course, Forbes Travel Guide put out their 2023 Star Awards.
And
Anthony,
before you announce it,
for
for those people that don't understand, when these lists come out, imagine somebody walking into the baby ward and calling your baby ugly. If your baby is not gorgeous and beautiful, you feel like a failure. So hotels the same way. If you're going for 5-star and you get 4-star and you think that's great, that is not great to the person trying to get 5-star. They got an ugly baby and they're upset.
Yeah. All right. So in that case, let's start with the Forbes Travel Guide awards over there. So I get a bunch of press releases when these things come out, and all the different 5-star winners put out their awards. So I got a whole bunch of them. But let me just say, Wynn Resorts, Anthony, I'm bringing that one up because they won 24 5-star awards. The one company. So they got at Encore Harbor, they won 2. At Wynn Las Vegas, they won 7. Wynn Macau won like 8 or 9. Wynn Palace as well. So congrats to that company.
Listen, and I agree. You and I were lucky enough to have dinner with the chief operating officer, and it's just wonderful. His new venue that opened is 5 stars.
Right. Yes. And he means chief operating officer of all North America. Don't confuse it with the individual properties over there. Peter, what do you think about these 5-star awards? And I'll give you a little more to comment on. 9 destinations welcomed their first 5-star hotels: Athens, Bodrum, Capri, Kuwait, Lake Como, Mallorca, Osaka, Riyadh, and Shenzhen. And the city with the most 5-star hotels in the world is London.
Really?
Wait, sorry. That was the last 4 years. The new one is Macau this year. So more than London. So London's number 2 this year.
Wow. What was the second place you said? I don't think I've ever heard of that place.
Yeah, neither heard I. Bodrum, Bodrum, the Mandarin Oriental Bodrum one.
Where is that?
I'm going to look. Turkey.
Yeah, right over there. And what I was happiest about is seeing Wynn everywhere, because my experiences are just incredible each and every time. And the many thousands of students and certificate takers we have, when we see somebody interact with us from Wynn, you can tell there's just a delightful culture. So the environment always comes across to me as, I'm going to serve you, and I'm going to serve you well, and I'm going to do it with pride. It's just pure hospitality. So I was super excited when I saw that today.
The gentleman, the chief operating officer of North America, what's his name again? It just escaped me, Glenn. You'll find it. He writes a letter every single day.
You talking about Brian Goldbrandt?
Yes. No. Yeah. Yes. Every single day, he writes a letter to his team about either highlighting someone or highlighting a success. I'm sure with all these awards, he'll be writing away.
That's awesome. That's what it's all about. I mean, and then they're happy to serve and they want to be there. It's for itself. But you know, the whole 5-star thing in general, it's you couldn't have said it better, Anthony. I mean, you wait on pins and needles and edges, and you've invested thousands and thousands of dollars and man hours, and you know, sometimes you just swing and it's a miss and you're devastated because you really thought you were on the mark. And other times you're in and it's just celebration. So I just, I applaud everyone who's new to the mix, and the daily maintenance of it is so extraordinarily difficult that it has to come from the innate culture of hiring and doing things right. Otherwise, it's just going to be surface level for a short time and it'll fade. So it's not only to get there, it's to maintain it forever.
Right. You desperately want us to get into the new topic, it sounds like. But Anthony, go on.
I told him at dinner that the drapes above the poker room are always fresh and clean and look like they were just pressed and washed, and they've been there since opening. And he said to me, "What's today? Oh yeah, they're being cleaned tonight." The man is responsible for over $2 billion worth of revenue, and he knew what time and what day the drapes are being cleaned in the poker room.
It's amazing. Detail, and then you can understand why they have so many properties in the mix that made it. I mean, that's what it's all about, is attention to detail. A lot of places will try one time and they don't get it. A part of the organization never moves forward, or it's not ingrained. It just doesn't work if you try to do it surface level.
Which hotel made it in New York, Glenn?
I don't have access to all of those. I got the major list, and then if I'm looking, I get just so everybody knows, I get a bunch of press releases that come in every single day. I just got let's see, Four Seasons achieves record number of Forbes Travel Guides awards. They've got 73 5-star awards across its global portfolio of hotels. Let's see, Costa Rica, their Four Seasons did well. Celebrity Cruises became the first cruise line ever to earn the coveted Forbes Travel Guide Award.
And Lisa will be, the president will be at Forbes Travel, and hopefully I'll be sitting at her table. But yeah, she's actually doing, I believe, a keynote.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so before we get into the hospitality students and stuff like that, I did want to mention U.S. News and World Reports put out their rankings. Now that is based, instead of standards, it's based on customer preferences. For the first time, they've got this first time this hotel won. It's a hotel in Peter's state of Florida. I don't want to make you guess, Peter, because it's like choosing. The choice will be too difficult. Have you ever heard of the Aquilina Resort and Residences in Sunny Isles Beach? Because they've been ranked number one.
I love it, and I've had alumni work there, and it is just a class act. That's fantastic. That is just fantastic.
Number 2, Canyon Suites at the Phoenician in Scottsdale, and get this, number 3. I'm delighted to see this, Pendry, West Hollywood. How cool is that?
Wow, very nice.
Yeah. All right. So obviously, Peter, all of these great hotels need superstars in order to make sure they stay absolutely fantastic. We wanted to have you on today so we could talk a little bit about what it's taking to attract that next generation hospitality superstar to go to your school, Dr. Producer Suzanne's school, and other amazing hospitality schools around the country. But where are we now? Because the last time we had you on the show, things were dire. Schools were closing. Enrollment was at an all-time low. Do you see things bouncing back, sir?
You know, I pulled my enrollment chart today, and we went from a high of about 1,300 down to 600, and then right now I'm at 900. So I'm cautiously optimistic. We have a periodic deans and directors call with the business schools that have hospitality. I think we're all down about 5 to 15%, but stabilizing, which is very promising. And what I'm particularly happy about is the fact that the young students who enrolled in the business school model, they've learned during the pandemic to use hospitality for any service business. So I have alumni now at AutoNation. I have them at Bank of America. I have them at Liberty Mutual. They ventured into service roles using their skills without saying, I'm going to abandon the industry. They're ready to come back. So that makes me feel good. Another feel good is that in our unique instance, and it's probably similar to the other business schools, they get admitted to the university as pre-business. And then they become a major when they're admitted to the College of Business as juniors. My number of pre-business hospitality is higher than it's been in about 7 years.
Wow.
So that's really promising for 2 years from now. My only concern is we're still down probably 1 million workers. If you look at hotels, restaurants, events, the whole deal, maybe between 1 and 1.5 million is my guess. We're still missing a chunk, but it's nice when I'm out and about now around the state and people tell me, hey, I'm staffed and now I'm working on retention and engagement. Right. And I only have 2 positions empty. I only have 3 positions empty. We're light years ahead of the last time we chatted a year ago.
That is fantastic. And I'll just say before I let you take over, Anthony, pre-pandemic, numbers put out by the HLA were around that number too, 1 million or so jobs short. So while the situation is still severe, I see, just like everything else in our world, we're getting back to that pre-pandemic kind of vibe. And Anthony, I don't know about you, but even if it's lower staff, I'm not seeing, with the exception of maybe not having housekeeping, a real difference in service like I saw 6 months or a year ago.
Yeah. And I don't think those million are coming back. I think we're always going to have them. I think technology is going to take a lot of those jobs. And, but Peter, what are you seeing from a percentage of payroll increase from 2019 to now in Florida? Do you have a number? Because I know my friends that work in Florida and run business in Florida, they're seeing, like, one gentleman I work with had a sous chef that went from $17 to $25 literally in 2 weeks, or he was leaving. Right. So what are you seeing?
It's everywhere. And I think payroll, if I hear from most GMs, it's 15 to 29% increase. It's somewhere in there. And it varies based on what type of hotel you're running. Like, I never would have posted a front desk agent, brand new starting person for a select service hotel for $17 an hour. Right. Now they're trying to compete with the full service, which have gone to 16 to 19. Right. So it's costing some of the select service properties more. Where I see efficiencies is many of the extended stay properties nationally have just really never gone back to a full-fledged room attendant service. So I think that'll be ingrained. And that 1 million workers, you're right. Out of every crisis, we kind of reduce FTEs to our detriment sometimes. But in this case, artificial intelligence, technology, remote this, remote that is helping. So I think we'll land somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. And I think that increase in payroll was extremely overdue. And the hotels, listen, the rates are going up, as you know, 2019, 2022, and the rates are going up for 2023. So I know people are going to get mad at me, but we were long overdue because we got a bad rap for low wages. And now you have to at least compete with the Target. You know,
absolutely.
you have to compete with, we said it last time, with the Walmarts and the Dunkin' Donuts and the Starbucks. And if you're not going to get qualified people. And really, to me, if you work at a Target, if you work at Dunkin' Donuts, there's nothing wrong with it. But here, you can go from a front desk clerk making $17,000 an hour to being a general manager in a few years, making a lot more money, and then maybe one day being a regional or a president of a company. There's so much growth in our industry. So we got to stop looking at it as a frontline, low-waged industry and looking at it as you're going to get a career.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and I keep trying to focus on the positive. Glenn and I chatted briefly right before we started. Everything is rosy on the revenue side still. Everything is pretty strong. There's little pockets here, little pockets there, but bar none, we're doing very well on the top end. But labor is up, shipping is up, cost of goods is up. So we have to figure out the new model to sustain these pay rates, because nobody's going to turn around and say, oh, okay, we're going back now. It's 2024. Right. Not going to happen.
Never gonna happen.
And it's nice because for students, I can say you'll make the same money as a teller at that financial institution, or a receptionist at the veterinarian, or a front desk agent at this Hampton Holiday Inn Express, whatever. Well, I couldn't say that before. Right. Now our entry-level pay is nothing to be ashamed of. And our growth opportunities, I think, are better because of that loss of people during the pandemic.
And I think you said something very important. Entry-level pay.
Yes.
Right? It's entry level. That does not mean that's going to be your pay in a year or 2 years or 3 years, but that's entry level. And people get caught up with say, well, I'm not working for that. Well, if you're good, you're not working for that for too long.
Absolutely.
All right.
I had a Go ahead, Glenn.
No, you go. You're the guest.
No, I was just going to say I had a company that just recently, the past week, I post jobs. I think we're up to like 1,600 employers. They were looking for a director of sales in the 90 to 110,000 range, and they couldn't find one because everybody for their size operation was out of the league already. So they changed the position to a sales manager, and they're getting an up-and-comer. And that's how they wound up creatively solving that solution. So we're all going to find some creative ways to do what we do. But I'm just excited. I'm happy. I'm glad we're busy again. I thought at one point that hospitality was going to have a very long haul for enrollments. Now, granted, don't take it that we're out of the woods. We're all down a good 10, 15% in numbers. So that scares me for 5 to 7 years from now as all of these students graduate. We're going to have a dip. And it's not that we've been an industry that always has had an oversupply of employees. We've always been short. So we have our work cut out for us, but everywhere I go, I say we need to bring the sexy back. I mean, I just play the song, and I'm like, we need to bring the fun back of why we're in this business. I mean, we love it, and we've got to show that to young people and get them excited.
Glenn, does that sound like anybody you know, Glenn?
Yeah, it's exactly the type of stuff that you are thinking about and working on extensively behind the scenes. So I got two observations here. Number one, down in Central Florida, a big union at Walt Disney World. I don't know why they keep coming up. The reason why I bring them up is they rejected the latest contract offer, which would have given employees $1 an hour raise, and giving them a minimum wage of $20 over the next 5 years. However, they're like, inflation's out of control. That's going to go nowhere. They're asking for a $3 an hour raise immediately coming up with these negotiations. So I think that's going to set the tone for what's going to be happening in Central Florida and beyond. And then one other thing that we don't talk about is, we are 1 million jobs short. And the technology will alleviate some of that. But we're still going to be, in my opinion, 1 million jobs short because more hotels are going to open, more restaurants are going to open, more attractions are going to open. I can't even imagine how many people are going to have to work at Universal Studios Epic Universe when they debut in summer of 2025 in the Orlando market. So we have our work cut out for us. Not only replacing those jobs, which are going to be, part of it will be taking care of technology, but also, Peter, attracting people to fill all of those new jobs. So it almost seems like it's an endless scenario that's never going to get too full. So how are we going to attract more people into our business, and how are we going to get them to feel excited like Anthony is going to be doing with some of his subject work?
It's an ongoing battle. We've always had this issue in our industry. And one of the things Anthony said beautifully is, they always focus on entry-level pay. They got to get over that. Right. I mean, you will quickly make the money you want in our business, depending which route you go. Is it events? Is it working for an OTA? Is it working for a hotel? You'll get there super quick. And now, actually, you kind of get there so fast because we need people that sometimes I've seen alumni getting promoted too quickly in the past year. Right. Which is interesting. They'll either make it and fake it. Like, we talked earlier about a 23-year-old general manager. That's an amazing opportunity. Someone who's knocking it out of the park. Mm-hmm. So the people who have the can-do want to be here. They're going to they're going to thrive in this environment for the next decade. So
Right.
again, we're reaching out to get to the middle school level now to talk about hospitality and culinary careers. We've already been doing high schools in Florida. Now we're reaching out to middle schools. We've got to plant the seed. This is fun. You know, it can't be fixed through technology and reduction in FTEs. That's part of the process. But what about the fun? And the owners, you know, and the operators, once they now are used to this pay rate, we're going to budget the same in 24, 25 at a newer pay rate. And it's been long overdue. Like I'm talking since the 70s overdue. So, you know, I can look every student directly in the eye now and say, this is a great field. There's nothing to be embarrassed of in pay, in title, in what you do every day. If you love people, and luckily the generation I'm dealing with now, they love the environment, they love sustainability, and they love people, and they want to help people. So I'm hoping this sexy, happy, great feeling is just emerging in these middle schools.
Yeah, well, we had the vice president of JW Marriott yesterday, and he was a front desk agent, and he decided at some point to go work in Washington so he could be close to headquarters. He was promoted, so he was around the right people, and now he's the VP, and he was a front desk agent. So he's opening a property in Africa. He's opening a property in Madrid. He's opening a property in South Korea. And these are all places he gets to travel to. He was a front desk agent.
Yep. And example after example after example of that. You know, we're preaching to the choir and probably most of the audience. But if you're a young person studying hospitality, or you just switched and you're 60 years old coming to hospitality, it doesn't matter. We have so many opportunities. Right. That's our business, you know?
You know, it's so funny. We talk about the rise of the digital nomad and how you could work from anywhere in the world, but you could get a hospitality job and travel the world in the same way and get really embedded in those communities, then get promoted and move somewhere else, which I feel is like how every luxury GM made their way up there. All those European men and women who are all over the world. You know,
I have a new goal to travel to every country and be a front desk clerk at one hotel in every country in the world.
I love that.
Oh, that's awesome. I like that.
That's
you know, one of the things I read recently, and I apologize for not remembering who said it, but there was a trade press article saying the hotel business kind of missed the mark during the pandemic about reinventing itself. And Sloan Dean, who I love from Remington, quickly combated that theory, showing his company. And there's not a day or week that goes by that they're not doing something fun in his organization. And so I commend everybody for being creative. Whether you did a 4-day work week, whether you did role changing, so you work 3 months in the desk and then you can move to food and beverage, whatever it takes to get the generations that are in your building engaged. And you're dealing with 3 generations, 4 generations under the same roof every day now. And they don't all listen to you the same way. They don't want to be communicated to the same way, but we have to be creative. So, you know, if there's someone who wants to work Monday to Friday days and that's their thing and they're loyal to you, great. If there's another one who wants to do gig work and work events and see the world like Anthony does, let them do gig work. We've got to change and be open to different ways of doing business. And I think the pandemic did prod a lot of people I know far more than I thought they would move. I just hope we don't rest on our laurels now and go backward.
Well, I think as people our age and over retire, and we're young in our thinking, but there's a lot of people I know that are kind of old in their thinking. And when the new generation comes up, I think it'll be a little bit easier. And I think it'll be a little bit more, not that we're not creative, people in their positions who are our age and older, but I think it's going to be a natural thing because they grew up with flex time. They grew up with wanting a little bit more time off. They're used to it. I had somebody, name nameless, who we all know. He literally said to me, he goes, "I'm not letting anybody work from home." I was like, "Good luck with that."
Yeah.
It's like, have you lost your mind? Yeah, you can't have a front desk clerk work from home, but why would a revenue manager, why can't she or he work from home a day or 2 a week? Why can't he work from home maybe more if it works? Or you just holding on to an old ideology that because I said so and because that's the way it's always been done. And listen, every generation has them.
There is no reason why we can't change. We just didn't change. And so I get so frustrated. I had the most beautiful conversation a couple of months ago when a regional VP told me, when I opened this property in Fort Lauderdale Beach, I had the absolute best applicant for VP of sales. And I told this person wanted to work from Orlando. And I told her no. And here we are 10 years later, and I missed the boat. Now I let people blend and do whatever they need to do to have a life. And he said, and I used to wear my badge of honor, not using my PTO days because it made me proud to show off with my friends. Those days are gone. If I tell a student you're not going to have, I call it work-life harmony. If you're not going to have work-life harmony, then they're not coming to work for you. End of story. End of story.
Yeah, we did a slide from our last presentation, and 10 years ago, flexibility was at the bottom of the 5 words, and now 10 years later, flexibility is number 1 on top of the 5 words.
All right. So, breaking news over here. Dr. Producer Suzanne says Universal Parks is going to need 14,000 new positions for the Epic Universe Park when that opens. And they're partnering with the University of Central Florida to embrace young students. Now, the next philosophy I want to talk about, because we're running short on time, is Anthony. I happen to be looking forward to the Anthony Melchiori School of Hospitality at Indian River, for example, and I'm going through some of the course materials. And coincidentally, I heard you talk a little bit about onboarding and on-the-job training and doing it properly. Because some of the articles that are attached to it, something like 4% of people quit on their first day, 40% are gone within 4 months. I think those are the numbers. It seems to me you go through all this work to get the people. How does onboarding and training keep those people happy?
I would almost say onboarding is more important than recruiting because it's hard to recruit. And sometimes you're just recruiting and hopefully that person works out. And you're like, you know what? I don't know if they're a perfect fit, but I need somebody. If you onboard them right, and that's all I'm hearing about with Cowan, who I work with in Boston. That's all they talk about is onboarding. And how do we really do this the right way? Like Peter was saying before, maybe 3 months in housekeeping, 3 months in food and beverage, 3 months at the front desk, but taking an interest along the route with them. Let them, like Mountain Creek, that we've done a podcast with, and I work with them. They do what they call trails. So if you're the person taking the not the ticket, but you're at the person that is holding the computer, and you're the person letting them on the lift, that's a trail. So nice. From the parking lot to the trail or to the lift, you're on that trail. And by the end of the day, you may have worked 3 or 4 places on that trail, and the person oversees the trail is now the manager. They have another name for it, and he goes up and down the trail all day. That's fantastic. That's amazing. That's what we need to do more of. That's a great onboarding lesson because there's somebody watching you every step of the way and teaching you something new. And you're not getting into these silos of you're the manager. Once you say somebody's a manager, you immediately get intimidated. Even if you're not a person that gets intimidated, I don't get intimidated very often. But if you say he's the manager, I go, oh, okay, he's the manager. If you say he's the leader of the trail, I don't even know what the hell that means outside. It sounds cool.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's interesting, Glenn, that you brought this topic up. Post-pandemic with the pay increases, what I hear more than ever, and I want to do a research study on this because I want to get my arms around it, is that our turnover is worse with the newbies entering our industry because they're coming for the money, but they didn't really know the exact expectations of what we do in hospitality. So that's why I keep waiting for this pendulum to shift where our wages remain higher. We get back to getting people who have it in their heart to serve, and it's going to be a win-win everywhere. But we're in this kind of little flux right now. So engagement and retention is a biggie that it's always been, but more now. And Anthony's spot on. Onboarding. Don't have an orientation for 3 hours, do a tour, and then bye-bye, you're off to your department. There's no buy-in. These new modern workers want buy-in. They want connection, and they want social good and involvement. So that trail analogy of that company is amazing. And it's funny, I met all of you when we did our COVID certificate. Here we are 3 years later almost, and we still have 500 or 1,000 every time. And so I started asking employers why. and they said they're using it for engagement.
Ah,
It keeps the people engaged for the 3 months they're registered along the way, and they can chat about it and they can feel a part of an industry bigger than them. So that's the feeling I think our employers need, is to make you feel a part of something bigger than you and to get you to stay for the right reasons. So retention and onboarding is more important now, and it's always been one of those talking points, but I think it's more important than ever. And we're paying well, so why not come? Why not come join us?
To put it simply, owners or the hotel business or any business felt they had the gun, and now the employees have the gun. And, meaning we thought all those things were important back then. I wanted engagement. I wanted to feel part of the team. I wanted someone to take an interest in me, but they didn't need to, because they were busy and I was going to stay because it was hard to get a job, and period. Now it's not hard to find a job if you really want to work in this industry, at any industry. And we're demanding higher wages, the employees. So now they're like, you know what? We're in charge, and we're not going to take it anymore. It was really, we're not going to take it anymore moment. Now, we had a lot of great companies doing well and treating their employees well way before COVID, but we had a lot of employers not, and they got called to the carpet. And good for the employees. Listen, we can't have ridiculous wages, because at the end of the day, it's an entry level and you don't need a lot of skill for some of these jobs. With that said, we need to engage them so that person that didn't need a lot of skill can move on and have great skill and do great things. And I think the greatest opportunity is get a skill of revenue management, get a skill of management of sales. Those are great skills to have, and you can take that to any career.
Any career. Absolutely. Revenue optimization, marketing, communications, they're all very useful, which is why, I love to teach in a business school, because I see so many alumni that have used their services mentality to do slightly non-traditional hospitality roles. Like, I have one who started his own charter fishing business. Well, to me, that's hospitality, because he's dealing with guests every day.
Yeah.
I have another one who's a relationship manager at Truist Bank. Well, relationship management, it's what we do.
You'd be hard-pressed to find a job that is in hospitality.
Hey, amen. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a physician or if you own a chain of Jiffy Lubes or if you're a hairstylist. It's all about service and responsiveness. So we're preaching to the choir, but enrollment it's still down. I'm going to remain optimistic. It's coming back. And the first time I've ever seen deans and directors globally work together, converse together, and kind of have synergy together, which I was telling Suzanne I am just very excited about. My students were invited to a career expo at UCF in Orlando. I've invited students from FIU to come listen to our guest speakers on classes that they might not be teaching. We're all in to raise the ship together. And we need workers. Bottom line, we need workers.
Yep. That's probably a good place to end this discussion. But before we wrap up today, guys, I just got a press release. How remarkable is this? The Inn at Little Washington, which is located in Washington, Virginia, has gotten two 5-star accolades from Forbes for the 34th consecutive year for their hotel and for their restaurant. 34 years, making it the longest tenured restaurant to get that designation.
They're clicked in. If you go skiing, you click on your boots, and if that binder isn't clicked in fully, you're gonna fall and break your ankle. Yep. They are fully clicked in. And that's the only way you can do that consistently, where it doesn't even become hard anymore. It just becomes part of the DNA and the bloodstream, where it's just, if this is the way we do it, and if we did it any other way, that would be hard. If we lost our standard, that's difficult for us, because we don't understand that. We don't understand that.
I can't even imagine. They've been at it for longer than my career as in this position.
I think it's really hard to do it consistently for that long. It's almost impossible, and it's really big attaboys.
Yeah, for sure. Have either of you ever been to there?
No, I've heard it
I've
year
heard about
after
it
year
forever.
after year, but I've never been either. I'm just.
But now,
not
if they
that part
listen
of
to
the
us,
world.
they're going to invite us, right?
Yeah, we got to get over
Hey, Suzanne,
there.
send David a text message to have
Yeah.
to tell him to come on and celebrate it.
Yeah, hey, Piper over at Laura Davidson, who just sent me this press release. Let's do something from over there. All right,
Yeah,
Peter.
send him an email.
Yeah, Peter. Shameless plug time. Tell us a little bit about your program and how folks can get involved, and maybe make a plea to some hoteliers out there to get their staff engaged in it.
Yeah, absolutely. We offer undergrad and MBAs, State University. We're here to help. Been in business now 15 years. I'm delighted to be here. And our calling card that I would love to offer to anybody watching is come do our executive certificate in hospitality. We're now updating the content every 2 years so that people can come for their entire life in the business. Awesome. And it's just heartwarming. It all started with COVID. We still give everybody partial scholarships from the people who continue to pay it forward. And every day it just reminds me why I got in this business. And I'm still in it. And I can't see myself ever doing anything else. Hospitality is a business. It's the business of taking care of others because you want to and you love it. So come to FAU, email me, find me on LinkedIn, whatever. You guys are a pleasure. And thanks to Suzanne and David and both of you for always inviting me. I love it.
You rock. Hopefully we'll get to see you soon, Peter. Take care. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you both.
Bye-bye. All right, Anthony.
My friend. Always great talking to him.
Yeah, you got any final thoughts before we get out of here?
You look marvelous.
Thank you very much. Of course, that's a reference to Fernando, a figure from the 70s, I think. All right. Find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, SoundCloud, wherever you get your shows. We are there. He's at Anthony Hotels. I'm at Traveling Glenn. We got to go. So remember, you got one life. So blaze on, and
be kind to yourself.
see you all tomorrow.